welcome to the round 3 of tournament 16. I'm Jack.
I'm Steve.
I'm whoops, and I'm Nathan.
Yeah, we've got our two players here, and apologies if I'm sound a little different. I've been sick. Unfortunately, winter rolls around, but we've got a crazy map here, adaptation made by Eggster. And we're doing something new this tournament where we have different maps associated with different rounds. So this is the one that is for round 3. And yeah, it's definitely a crazy map.
Yeah, let's jump in.
All right. Well, it looks like we've got a God of Production mirror match as both the players rush out the gates as fast as possible to capture these initial moons. I forget what we had this map in a previous tournament, and I forget what the dominant strategies were, but there's definitely a lot of moons and a lot of planets here.
Yeah, we're going to try out the new over-the-shoulder cam. So it's a little wider shot, so hopefully we can capture a little bit more of what's going on. That was a common complaint before, so it'll be exciting to see how this camera angle works out.
Yeah, and we're seeing some fast conquesting from both players here. The cool thing about conquest is that due to their passive ability of moons providing power, on maps like these with so many scattered moons, you can really gain a lot of power just by capturing moons. We see, I don't think any player has captured a planet, though. As I say that, I saw Sandyea did based on the mini map. And it looks like it was just that first production planet. Though I can imagine these players are going to be going to want to go for these. Oh yeah, like Red took the point defense planet, which will provide a defensive advantage for their fleet here.
I'm liking Sandyea's movement there. Nice wormhole chaining. Lots
Yeah,
of speed.
In the previous round, Sandyea has defeated Eggster, one of the game's best players. So definitely Sandyea, I'm not sure how highly they've been placing in tournaments, as I definitely recognize their name, though I don't know if they've had any super high finishes. So it's definitely great to see some these players coming out here. It looks like some skirmishing over these moons here.
Yeah, and the deep reaches of this like outer region. We've also seen God of Misery, Godmon here, place pretty highly in tournaments. Again, never. I don't think either of these players have seen like the top spot, but they've been around for a good while, so it's really great to see them here in round 3.
Yeah, Sandyea's been in the top 10 for a long time, and I think they've placed top 3, highest placing they've had so far. So lots of good practice.
I'm noticing, Godmon just took that planet there, but they were behind in planets for a little while. Looking at the mini up, you see that darker bar for Red representing the number of planets there, and their fleet capacity was a lot bigger. But now it looks like Blue has evened it back up, and both players still very even here. And what are these players doing right now with all these wormholes? Where are they? What's the point of all this?
This is a good.
It's looking like.
Oh, sorry, Nathan.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I mean, the advantage of wormholes in this case, it looks like, is because as you can see, their fleets are quite large, and wormholes are a consistent way to transport all of your troops at once, since just throwing them can only take so many at a time.
Yeah, but it looks like these players are mostly going around and capturing moons. You know, a lot of value on those, both as they increase your production and as God of Conquest, you can increase your territory. But it looks like fighting over this point defense planet, that really puts Sandyea on the back foot here, as Godmon has really won that fight here. And now both God abilities are ready. We'll see if they're able to use this EMP. It shuts down any support ships on the planet it hits. So it's definitely, it can turn the tides of a fight if used properly. But you know, it's looking a little rough from Sandyea, as that big fight has put them down on ships significantly here. and it looks like Godmon only pulling farther in the lead as they begin to take a lot of these things, and they see an asteroid before it officially becomes as it comes off the asteroid belt, and oh, Red actually gets it there. We'll see if that's enough to take it, but it doesn't look like it. We'll see if this is if Godmon can get both of these asteroids, then that will spell disaster for Sandyea here.
Yeah, it looks like Godmon's going to keep him on the ropes too. Oh, this might be a chance.
Yeah. EMP goes off, but it looks like just due to the sheer number of ships Blue has there.
Oh, and their own EMP.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
EMP.
Yep. Looks like Godmon's going to definitely take that one.
Yep, and Sandyea runs away there, but now we'll see.
Oh, second asteroid.
Trying to make it to the second one in time, but
that's going to spell trouble.
Yeah, here comes Godmon with their big army moving in for the kill here. So they still need power, but it shouldn't be hard for Conquest here to get it at Red home base. And not much Sandyea can do. You know, they have ships, but I think they probably have half the number of ships that Godmon has here, and it's hard to, very much on the back foot here, and I'm not sure how much Sandyea can do to recover.
Oh no.
Well, hopefully.
This may come as a break for Sandyea. Godmon disconnects.
No, I think Sandyea is waiting with using good sportsmanship here. I'm waiting for Godmon to return. But yeah, unfortunately, sometimes players disconnect, especially being on headsets with Wi-Fi. I know Godmon said that they would have to leave at some point, and I'm hoping that's not what this is. And I'm hoping it's just connection issues. Players typing in Discord now. It would be unfortunate to see Godmon drop out like this as they were about to win, but I suppose sometimes life calls. But we'll give them another minute here in case it was just connection issues. We will wait to see if we hear back from them on Discord. We wouldn't want to do anything preemptive, as it was clear if Godmon had a big advantage in this match, and we wouldn't want to disqualify them or make them lose.
In the meantime, we're seeing some really fun little wormhole art going on. Always a pleasure.
So how you get a glimpse of first person point of view here, what the players see as they move around. A little hard to follow, but since we're kind of slow, it's kind of interesting just so you can get a feel for it. I haven't seen it before.
Yeah, the more I look at this map, the more I realize just how many crazy elements there are. There's of course that battleship planet there, and I think there's also a sniper planet sort of buried way above or below the map, something like that. What
think this may be forfeit.
Yeah, I think it's reasonably safe to assume that they're not. It's not just internet issues, and they had to go, especially given what they said before. So yeah, Sandyea will move on to the next round. And unfortunate that Godmon wasn't able to play the rest of this tournament. But we'll get the next match underway shortly, which should hopefully have a more exciting ending. All right, welcome back. We're in the pregame lobby for our final round 3 match, where we have BlackLemur going against Speedy Ape. I think both our players were here, though Speedy Ape has magically disappeared. Oh no, they're back. We'll just wait for them to everyone to choose their team and choose their gods. Hopefully we get underway shortly. Why don't we look at this map? There's a lot to break down here. And Steve, do you want to give a little bit of a rundown of what we got here?
Yeah, this map is absolutely jam-packed with stuff. As you can see, we've got... Oh. All right, I guess we will be jumping in. Not sure what happened there. The player started it, and here we go. So as you can see, we've got a lot of stuff. We've got a lot of production planets. We have nuke ships, battleships, PDF, missiles, torpedoes. There's asteroids. So we have so much stealth planet there. There's just a lot going on. A couple planetary shields to add to the difficulty of taking them over. But this is a complex map that allows players to set up their own routes and really play they want to play, which is something cool. I think that one of the biggest things we can do with tournament maps is to allow players to come up with their own routes so that everyone's not following a kind of like a standard route, because that can get kind of monotonous after a while. So this is definitely a map that combats that and allows players to play their own way, capture whatever they want to capture, and just get wild.
Yeah. I think the dominant strategy I've seen so far is, I think both players did this, is going for that point defense planet immediately, and as the first planet, and then that heavy laser planet. Both the point defense for the defense and the heavy lasers for the powerful offense. Heavy lasers are especially good when micromanaging because they turn so fast and fire very fast. So when there aren't shields to protect your ships, the heavy lasers will really chew through your fleet, so you have to be very careful around them.
Yeah, after battleships, heavy lasers are definitely my second favorite ship.
Yeah, they've definitely I think players are starting to realize how good they are. There was a long period of time where I don't think they were underused in maps, and people just didn't really have a lot of experience with them and would prefer things like torpedoes, which are definitely still very powerful ships, but now I'm seeing a lot more heavy laser representation.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys, we did a campaign update and revision, and a lot of the maps got heavy lasers and battleships added to them later on towards end game. So it's a lot of fun to see those, and hopefully players will get a chance to get more familiar with them.
Yeah, and something I just realized here is both our players are playing God of Teleportation. This was a god that rarely ever sees competitive play, though it is one of the more fun gods in my opinion. But I'm curious to know if that was an agreement made by both players or somehow a tactical decision on this map. It looks like big fight here. Definitely a long fight. I'm actually surprised how little ships were actually lost there. I think it was a big battle with a lot of defensive ships. So both players are still even here. BlackLemur having the slight advantage. Oh, looks like fleet recall is used there, which, in case you don't know, teleports every ship on the map you own to where you activated it and gives them a buff, which is actually, Nathan, do you want to talk about the changes made to the buffs in the last update?
Yeah, the big change to the teleportation buff that I think has made it a much more viable option is that this buff specifically really focuses on your range. And I think that kind of plays more into the teleportation spirit. So, the buffs in the game, I think most players are familiar with the unstable sun buff will give your ships like a little bit of faster fire rate, faster turn speed, so they'll tend to kill ships a lot faster. The teleportation buff is a similar type of buff. It also increases your fire rate, but it also makes them shoot a little farther away. So if you're going to try to do an attack on a planet, you can generally kill ships before they even get a chance to turn and see you. And while this buff is very short, it's a very powerful ability to be able to attack from a distance safely.
Yeah, especially one of the disadvantages of heavy laser ships is they have a decreased range. But I'm guessing that there is a lot of really good synergy between the fleet recall and heavy lasers, as if they get those fast explosive shots off while your enemy's shields aren't looking at them, it can be super, super, super powerful.
Yeah, and one cool thing that I saw BlackLemur do was they used the teleportation to kind of get their ships out of danger. That was interesting. I've never seen it used as a retreat tactic. I've usually used it as an attacking tactic. That was something that was really cool. BlackLemur has a good awareness, and Speedy Apes, both these players are really good. So it's crazy to see them use teleportation and then kind of tweak it in their own styles.
Yeah, and I will say Speedy Ape is leading here on ships, but BlackLemur is not far behind. It's still anyone's game. And it looks like a big fight here, as both fleets are really being pushed to their limits here. And it looks like BlackLemur, I think losses were about equal, but just given that BlackLemur started with less ships, they are now running very low on reserves. And in my opinion, it's never good to trade, even if you're trading 1-for-1 there. If you're behind on ships, it's not going to be good for you. As having nothing is much harder than having, you know, a decent fleet that's and it looks like both god abilities are indeed ready again. We'll see if Speedy Ape is able to use that on offense here, as I know they want to push for the blue home base right now, given that they have an advantage. And here they go. Oh, never mind, just for an asteroid. We'll see if players are able to, I think, oh, it looks like leaving that asteroid a little bit. But it looks like Speedy Ape is going to claim both of those asteroids, and with the powerful bonuses they have inside. And BlackLemur is just sitting here waiting for Speedy Ape to move in for the kill here. Definitely an exciting match to watch, with a lot of good fights and strategy.
Nice. One of the coolest things about this is both these players are top players. They've each won tournaments. And this is the cool thing I like, is that the skill level keeps increasing and the players keep going back and forth. Nobody's really dominating. I mean, BlackLemur had to be like 3 in a row, I think. And now Speedy Ape taking back over. And yeah, so the back and forth has been really cool to see. I'm excited to see just how much players can grow for the next few months.
Yeah, and congratulations to Speedy Ape. They'll be moving on to the semifinals.
Okay.
There we go.
We're looking at the first round of the semifinals. We've got Isaiah King facing off against Sandyea. Two players, again, as usual in the tournaments, we've seen in quite a few rounds, both playing Conquest on Egister's map, Adaptation. As you can see, both players are really focusing on moons early, which makes sense on a map this big.
Why do you think Conquest is such a good pick on this map, Nathan?
Well, yeah, I would say that Conquest really excels at taking territory and focusing on moons before planets, since most gods can only expand their power range through to planets. And so by taking the God of Conquest, which gives you power protected from moons, it means that you can start to build up your production really early on without even having to worry about the planets, which are much more heavily defended than moons often. And on a map like this, the advantage of that is pretty clear, since every single planet has moons which you can take.
Yeah, I think a feature of this map too is just given the number of elements here and the number of planets and moons, the moons are very evenly spaced out, so that you can often hop from one moon to another, just using that conquest power. Whereas some maps might not have the same things, and I'd like to, you know, as we have the map creator out, I'd like to see more experimental maps, which have, you know, less, more clustered moons, or maybe less evenly spaced out things. And just I'm also excited just to see many of the wacky things that sort of push the the norms of what we're used to. But it looks like Isaiah King off to a little bit of a lead in the early game, leading in planets and ships by a little bit. Sandyea doing their best to conquest moons and planets to expand their territory here. See some wormhole chaining, advanced wormhole chaining there. Nathan, what's the value in taking these stealth planets over here on the side of the map?
Yeah, I mean the stealth planets. I think on many maps often aren't really great places for production, even though they can still produce ships. Really, the value comes from that stealth effect, which basically gives your ships for a brief time the power of the god of stealth, which is invisibility. And while your ships are invisible, they cannot be killed by splash damage, so things like missiles or volatility explosions. And they're also just, you can't see them. So that can be useful as a path to route your ships through, just as you're making your way around the galaxy. And they also, invisible ships won't be visible to turrets. So again, another useful thing when just trying to take planets. Just like a little, it incentivizes players to kind of route a little differently, and I think that's really cool to see on these really big maps where there's just these roads all over the place.
Yeah, and we've been seeing a little bit of skirmishing between our players, but Isaiah King still stays on top here. Both god abilities are ready here. We'll see if any of the players decides to pop them off here.
I like what Sandyea's been doing, just kind of doing these little strikes at Isaiah King as they go around the map, kind of just taking those chances. It's paid off a few times there. They just need to, Sandyea just needs to capture another planet because they're at fleet capacity.
Yeah, ships can be vulnerable as they're going through wormhole change there, and if you can sort of sneak attack them from behind while they're traveling around, you can get some free kills. It looks like big fight over this blue stealth planet here. EMP goes off. Looks like Sandyea is gonna run away, not wanting to suffer a big loss there, and it looks like they made the correct decision. Looks like Sandyea was baiting with that ability. One of the things you have to be careful about is, especially when fighting players as experienced as these, is they can sort of predict your god ability coming, or hear, react fast enough that you might miss with the EMP, or you wouldn't hit anything. So you have to, there's definitely a trickery element to it.
Nice mid-space wormhole in there.
Yeah, we should
Hey,
see
Sandyea?
some asteroid play in a second. Asteroids should have spawned and be active soon. And I think I just heard one.
Get
I
taken.
just heard one, yeah.
Yeah, Steve, maybe zoom out a bit and let's see where exactly things are happening.
Oh, here comes Isaiah King for the home base here. And it looks like we'll be scared away by that EMP ability going off. Sandyea now chasing.
Really smart play there. Sandyea.
Yeah,
It's a great turnaround there.
Yeah, no one wants to fight with a bunch of disabled support ships. Oh, but Isaiah King going back. And I think their support ships are now active here. But Sandyea does have a lot of ships. It wouldn't be that crazy for them to be able to turn it around here with some good micromanaging. It looks like they have a nice oh yeah, Isaiah King's gonna run away, and it's actually even now. So Sandyea has actually managed to come back here through smart micromanaging and use of that EMP ability. That was great to see.
Yeah, I think consistently trying to get behind the enemy fleet is really important, and using wormholes to kind of like get the upper hand, because your ships can only turn so fast, and so if you're stuck orbiting a planet, you can potentially do what Sandyea was doing and kind of like switch behind them really quickly, and that will definitely catch them off guard.
Yeah, and I saw an asteroid there. We see it in the far distance as blue has it, and I think there's another one. We'll see if one player is able to get both of these, or it's going to be
Isaiah has this this one over here, but looks like little battle for it.
And here comes Sandyea, and I think Sandyea is actually gonna be able to get it. I think they
Wow.
used their troops so effectively there, and now look at the mini map. See how Sandyea has so many more ships than Isaiah King here.
What a swing in fleet capacity.
Wow.
I think they got the blue. I think they got the other asteroid as well. It's double asteroids because they're at max capacity, and that may spell the end.
Yeah, if I was Sandyea, I'd be rushing the red home base as soon as I can here, and it looks like that asteroid bonus is going to come in.
Oh.
And here
really
Sandyea
smart
goes.
I
positioning.
think they're sort of gathering all their troops around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Isaiah King does have EMP ready though, so we'll see if that gets
Yep.
used as a
And
last effort, though.
Sandyea doesn't have power yet, but there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd definitely be cautious of that EMP, but otherwise, you know, I can see that.
Oh, it looks like the power.
the
The
actually
power.
went off. Oh,
And Sandy hasn't recognized it. Oh my gosh, what has changed?
Oh.
There they go. They got it back. But I don't know. Will it be enough?
I think it was right on the boundary.
Wow. Smart play by Isaiah King to take that power. I was nervous there. Sandy didn't see it. But they saw it in time. Captured it back. They'll hold this down. Really
Yeah,
smart
Isaiah King
plays
was
in this
trying to
match.
Steal the moons. Oh, that was really clever.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Not
wasn't
giving
able to
up.
dodge it.
Look at that.
Running here. You
Oh, they don't
you
have
to make a
power yet?
decision. Do you fight? Do you fight with no shield shifts, or do you wait? I think I would wait here. I don't think Isaiah can actually, return. The EMP is expired now, and these ships have power again.
Sanya's EMP is up now, though. I think they can take this and hold this.
Yep, Isaiah King's not working with that many ships at this point.
That was
maybe looking for an opportunity to
Yeah,
cut
see, they're
off
using
power.
a sort of stalling technique, but it's not really working out on the timer.
really smart plays by both players, though. I was amazed at the back and forth here.
Yeah. No, this has definitely been a great comeback from Sandyea here.
Yeah, probably one of the best comebacks I've ever seen, honestly. This was a fantastic comeback.
Yeah. What an exciting match to watch. And congratulations, Sandyea. We'll be moving on to the finals here.
All right, we've got one more match in the semifinals, and we'll see you all soon.
All right, welcome to the second semifinals match. We have Frost going against Speedy Ape here. We see Frost playing as God of Conquest, and Speedy Ape playing as God of Stealth. Definitely an uncommon pick in tournaments, especially on this map with all the moons. We've seen a lot of Conquest representation here, but we'll see if Speedy Ape is able to use the advantages of God of Stealth to pull ahead in this match. The advantages of God of Stealth being twofold. One, there is a sort of secrecy element with your ships being able to turn invisible after being out of combat for a couple seconds. And then the other advantage is that you gain, or the ultimate ability turns you invisible and all your ships and wormholes, and grants them a offensive buff for about 30 seconds. So definitely a time where the God of Stealth can really run around and play very aggressive, and with the opponent on the back foot here. And it looks like Speedy Ape off to an early slight ship lead here. I wonder if it's, one of the advantages of being invisible for a ship is that it turrets don't target it or shoot at it. So I'm wondering if that's one of the factors that's allowing Speedy Ape to pull ahead here.
Yeah, the interesting thing will be to balance their ability timer. As you can see, Conquest's ability timer is filling up much faster than the Stealth's. That'll be something that comes into play in a few minutes. But
Yeah,
it is.
also,
What?
oh, go on, Steve.
I was just going to say, it's very nice to see more gods than Conquest. I know in this map, a lot of players choose Conquest because just there's so many moons, and it's, you know, great to keep everything in power. But I like seeing stealth, and I like seeing teleportation. As we saw, those teleportation players were able to move their ships around very quickly with fleet recall, and it's cool to see on a map like this.
Yeah, and Speedy Ape definitely in the lead here. We saw some, you know, harassment of Frost while they were expanding out, coming in with those invisible ships in hand and really just trying to get some free kills on Blue's ships while they're traveling from wormholes. And so far, Speedy Ape's done an excellent job at maintaining this ship advantage.
A little bit of dancing around the sun. This is interesting. Trying to trick each other, bait each other out a little bit.
Yeah, in a match of trickery, and also, but it looks like Speedy Ape's actually at fleet capacity here, so they've actually, or they're very close to it, which will mean that they'll stop producing new ships until they capture another planet or something to increase their fleet capacity. And it looks like they've just done so there. It looks like they got hit by one of those nuke ships there that are guarding that planet.
Gonna come down to the wire. Who takes that one? Oh, he did not come back for it.
Yeah, but here comes Speedy Ape. You know, especially when you're God of Stealth.
More troops.
Yeah, especially when you're God of Stealth, attacking undefended planets is pretty free. Just given. Oh, but now Speedy Ape on the run here.
Smart retreat.
But retreating to the home base for maximum protection, and I don't think Frost can follow there. The EMP ability is definitely interesting. Usually, you know, it's good to use on strategic bases where you really like the enemy can't just run away. Like they're sort of forced to defend it there, rather than an arbitrary base that they wouldn't really care if they lost. For example, you know, the home base or the sun or something. Oh, but it looks like Speedy Ape going for the sun here, using that invisibility buff. And we don't get to see where Speedy Ape is, but they're running around and really harassing all of these blue ships here and capturing those asteroids there.
See who captures this?
Yep, and Frost has no idea how many ships.
Yeah.
But I can tell you by the minimap, it is probably a lot.
Yes. All right.
Now
Now he's got a much more potent buff than the invisibility one to really just do some damage.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, just given the ship advantage and given how powerful this sun buff is, I'm not sure how much Frost can do against the unbeatable Speedy Ape army here. Coming down, looking at the minimap, it's we see the red has power everywhere and all the troops here.
And I believe red took that other asteroid. They maintain this asteroid, and they're attacking the home planet. Not good. Or Frost.
Wow.
Smart plays by Speedy.
Dominant showing of Speedy Ape here with God of Stealth. It was exciting to see some variety there in strategy, and definitely was just consistently using the invisibility and good placement to win fights and build a ship lead over time.
That's something I love to see. I love that, you know, Speedy's showing us stealth is very viable here for other gods besides Conquest, and mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, even on a map with this many moons, there's other advantages that you can exploit. In this case, having just so many bases meant that your troops could be like in a lot of places, and as stealth, that's just very powerful.
All right, welcome back, guys. We're here with XL Beam, definitely a sort of OG player here, and we're gonna be revealing the map here. You know, once you have our competitors, so this is a map no player has seen this before. So this is definitely a fresh experience. So our players will have to. We're gonna give them a minute or so just to look at it and discuss, and let's break down this map. So, yeah, what do you guys?
I think the
seeing
most
so
important
far?
thing, actually, Steve, go look at the starting fleet.
Yeah. So the starting fleet is actually just oh. Can we just hit
They've
return?
got all the information they need.
I think
So
they
we'll
may
just-
just.
No, no.
No, just go and Steve, press C.
All right, here we go.
All right. It looks like our
So the
players.
starting fleet
We'll talk over it.
is just lasers and shields, which means that you'll actually have to take planets if you want to get missiles and all those things.
Yeah.
I think definitely you'd have to go for the point defense first because you don't have those missiles that would be producing more lasers. So I think it would be easier to go for first instead of going for the rockets.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely a
that
good
might be
choice.
true.
Frost is going for the missiles right off the bat, but I agree that it might be easier to go with. Unless you, well, there you go. Frost took it fairly easily. Let's see. Isaiah's doing here.
Yeah, I think Isaiah King hasn't taken any planets yet. Just been focusing on moons here. But going for the point defense first,
Yep, there we
as
go.
Excel was recommending. And we'll see if the offense of having the missiles will beat the defense of having those point defense ships. But it looks like
Isaiah looks like they're struggling.
here. Yeah,
And
definitely without. Well, I don't even think missiles would really help you much against that. Like Excel, like what do you? How important do you think the explosive ships like the missiles and torpedoes are to winning fights?
Well, I mean, torpedoes are definitely probably the most important ship you can have. They were whenever I was playing and I was playing regularly. They were probably the ship I used the most because they have that extended range. So they
Yeah.
can kill up to multiple ships instead of just the regular lasers killing one or two. Not two, just one per.
Yeah, and missiles for a long time they're normally they're in your starting fleet of shields, lasers, and missiles. Some people call them rockets, but the ones that shoot those homing missiles definitely good at getting through those shields there. But it looks like Frost is gonna push here and really try to shut down Isaiah King.
And they've successfully done it. I was wondering about that push, but I mean, Frost has the fleet advantage, and they took control of that PD planet, and that's gonna be put Isaiah in a tough spot, as
Yeah,
they've lost a lot of ships
Yeah,
already.
Excel, what do you think Isaiah King should be doing here to try to come back? It's always a tough
Well, he's
question.
near cap space, so he doesn't need to be getting moons. Instead, he needs to be focusing on a planet that Frost isn't focused on. Now he needs to go back to his home base and move all his troops back there to kind of counter him. And he's really good with moving around his ships in
Oh,
yeah,
but he cut off
Oh,
power.
very smart cutting off that power, because Frost could have taken that.
Yeah, I've been excited to see that cutting off power as being one of the things players have started to use more. I think, Frost could have secured that by taking the home base moons first, because they are playing God of Conquest, but maybe they just didn't think of that at the time.
these small maps. I don't really think Conquest would be the best move because you can just gain a few minutes and get over there. I think maybe Production would be the best because of the lack of moons.
Yeah, production's not a bad choice. We saw Speedy just win with stealth, so I think people are getting a little too reliant on Conquest, especially on this map.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, Conquest is sort of a safe default pick, but definitely stronger on some maps, especially the more chaotic ones, than on these more sort of straightforward, simple maps.
That's the god me and experts used Conquest to win the tournament 11. That's what we used.
Yeah, what brought you to the God? What were you seeing as the key strengths there?
Our entire strategy was me getting all the moons to try to push on them while he was using the main fleet and he was going around getting planets, destroying their main fleet. They were doing is they had a bunch of snipers, so I was thinking to do that, and I needed to be able to have distance to be able to get all those moons, and that map had tons and tons of moons. So I was using those moons to get to moons.
Yeah,
That
and something
destroyed their production.
I just noticed in this match was, Isaiah King's been consistently shutting down these moons to keep Frost at bay, and Frost has been pretty stubborn in like not wanting to capture these other neutral planets and just trying to push in and fight with Isaiah King just with these moons here. But Isaiah King has actually managed to eke back into the game through some smart play with using that power. So it's definitely exciting to see. Oh, but now that was a little bit of a rough engagement for Isaiah King, huh?
Yeah, the thing I'm noticing a lot is that like they've got like a much higher like fleet capacity than they actually have ships. Part of that is probably just because the moons keep changing ownership, but also Conquest isn't necessarily the best god for just like building up a huge army. It's like really good in territory battles, and since again the territory is not that big here, we're really seeing that like it's just a battle of who can grow their fleet faster than the other.
Now, one mistake that I'm seeing players make nowadays is instead of going for, since you get 10 on your first asteroid that you get, 10 drones or turrets on them, you would always go for the one on their side first to make it harder for them to get that one, and then go back to mine if they don't notice it. I'd always do that so it'd make it harder for them to get theirs.
I was about to say, Isaiah King, I hate to interrupt there, but Isaiah King was cutting off those moons to cut off the power so that they can get that asteroid and keep Frost off it. But it looks like Frost is gonna stubbornly try to stay there and try to, even though they don't have power.
Oh, get out of it. Yeah. No, that's smart, XL Beam. I agree with you on that choice. That's something we haven't seen a lot of people do. And it looks like each player will take an asteroid here.
Exchange. Yeah.
Yep. Honestly, if I were Frost here, I'd be taking that one of those torpedo planets just to secure power. Frost has been, having a lot of difficulties with their power getting cut off when they're trying to push into red territory here.
Yeah, a little too reliant on the moons, and Frost is paying for it for sure, as we've seen Isaiah swing back in.
Yeah, and Isaiah is, it's been a lot of back and forth in this match. It's really great to see. And I think the next set of asteroids is really going to determine, but it looks like pretty evenly spaced, one on either side of the map. XLB, what do you think the risks and potential reward would be here for going for those torpedo planets?
Oh, it would be a huge reward if you can kill the torpedoes first. I would take a handful and get them. I mean, the torpedoes would be amazing for them to have because, I mean, that extra range would just destroy them.
I just saw Frost in a matter of 1 second lose half their ships there. I'm not sure what they went into red, some sort of massive army, and just got absolutely shredded there.
If I'm Isaiah, I'm taking that other asteroid. Oh, sorry, Nathan.
Oh no, I think there's just so much happening right now.
Yeah, I think I'd take this asteroid if I was Isaiah, seal the deal, because if you get both of them, this is game over.
I think.
Frost barely eked that one out.
Yeah, but now very much on the defensive here. We'll maybe have to use that EMP to strategically, I mean, Red could go for the home base right now.
Yeah, I think Frost should save that EMP for whenever he attacks his home base. Like, I mean, instead of using it on a planet where he doesn't have a bunch of turrets, it would be better for him to save it.
His ship count is really low.
Excel, how powerful do you think that EMP is, and like where's the best place to use it?
I would always use it on the defensive whenever I was trying to protect one of my planets or my home base. Like right now, I'd use it right now. Bam, perfect. But he didn't have enough ships to fight it off anyways. I mean, that EMP is just super good, in my opinion. If you have teleportation, you can just teleport your troops back.
Yeah.
Teleportation is a good god to use.
It's a big big upset there because Frost was ahead quite a few, and I think if they'd just taken a planet instead of relying on moons, this would have been a very different game. But congrats to Isaiah King on that comeback.
Yeah, no, that was a great match. I think a lot of really smart strategical decisions were made in that match, and I think that can happen on those smaller maps. Is less chaos and more focused sort of strategic play, which is something I like to see.
Heard of this Isaiah King guy? I mean, they came out of nowhere, but I also haven't been in the Discord or anywhere for a while, so I don't know about that.
Yeah, they've made appearances in the past couple tournaments.
Yeah, and I've seen them also making maps as well. So they've definitely really come into the community with like a lot to offer, and that's really great to see.
Yeah. And so we've got the finals coming up next. We'll be right back when we have that set up. Alrighty. Yeah. So we're back here in the pregame lobby for the finals, where we have Speedy Ape going against Sandyea, and we're going to they're going to be fighting on this new map, and we'll give them a little bit to think about it. This is the first time I think these players have seen it, unless they catch the bronze match on stream. But we'll let these players absorb this map for a little bit and maybe think about what gods they want to use. So it looks like we're starting. All
Interesting
right.
choice.
Yeah, God of Teleportation.
Double
mirror match.
teleportation. Maybe they heard that it'd be a good counter to Conquest, but then no Conquest.
Yeah, can you XL, what is the why would a player pick God of Teleportation?
Oh, I don't know if this is still the case now since I haven't played in so long, but whenever somebody would use the EMP on me, I would just teleport my troops back, and that would get rid of the EMP. So that's why teleportation, that's the only reason I'd ever use it. It would get that small buff, and it would get rid of the EMP.
Yeah, I think the main advantage is I think the passives are a little weaker for God of Teleportation, but their ability of the fleet recall, which has recently been buffed, is definitely very powerful and a big appeal, and it charges pretty quick, and definitely an interesting god here. And I think they've also, Nathan, has the base production rate for this god increased too?
Yeah, so there's kind of like 3 different tiers of production rates we're seeing now, and this is sort of meant to kind of like match the strength of their base abilities. So at the very top, God of Production has the fastest production rate, and then we've got gods like God of Defense and God of Teleportation, which have a little bit less pervasive passives, but they have a little bit faster production. And then the slowest production speed, we have gods like Conquest, Stealth, and Volatility, which have very powerful passives, but not nearly as fast production rates.
It looks like these players are trying to go for the sniper planet maybe, or they're just fighting here. Speedy Ape definitely came out on top of that engagement there.
Speedy's a big sniper lover. I remember that about him. He loved them snipers.
It's a little early for me to take it, but Speedy has an advantage here and could go in. Sandyea makes a mistake.
Yeah, and it looks
Like
like
that.
already
Oof.
Sandyea has been suffering a lot just in these battles here. What would be your advice for Sandyea here in this situation?
So leave Speedy alone, and then leave those moons up top alone, and try to get those moons that are down on the bottom while he's not looking, and then save your troops and get some and try to third party that sniper whenever he goes for it.
Yeah, I think that yeah, whenever you're fighting like this and your opponent has a lot more ships than you, it's really hard to fight profitably, especially against a player like Speedy.
It's like Speedy and Frost, they're so good at moving handfuls of troops around. They can have their main fleet on one side, and they can have a handful on the other, and constantly moving them all around. They're just so good at that. And I remember that's why I could never beat him on 1v1s whenever we would play him.
Yeah, it's crazy to see like the sort of mechanical skill from a lot of these players. Back when Nathan and I were first sort of coming up with the game and playing it, we didn't really imagine like all the like some of the things that players do now being possible.
Peekaboo, like peekaboo.
Yeah, I think peekaboo has become less pervasive at
Yeah,
this
for
point.
sure. Yeah,
The new peekaboo now.
it's not not as powerful anymore.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm curious to see if we'll see any offensive uses of this god ability here, as now it increases the ship's range temporarily as the buff is active.
Great
for a
way to
couple
counter.
seconds.
It is a great way to counter.
Yeah, I think about Speedy, I'd actually, if I'm in power range, let's see, actually. Almost. So if I was in power, yeah, I'd pull over. They have such an advantage. I think it's the easy choice to fleet recall.
Yeah, I don't think Speedy has power yet at that blue home base, so they can't attack. Though they definitely, if they did have power right now, they would be able to take that base. And it looks like here they go.
This should do it, yeah. And I think that's a smart choice, especially if you've seen people cutting off power. I'd take 2 planets to make sure I don't lose range. That's exactly what Speedy did there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even go for the sun here, but it looks like won't really matter. We'll see Sandyea maybe use that ability for it, but you know they have very few ships at this point.
Oh,
And it looks
wow.
like Speedy Ape is going to win tournament 16. Congratulations! Just a very, you know, dominant performance. So XL, what do you think makes Speedy Ape such a good player? You're mentioning a little bit about their micromanaging skills.
His micromanaging is amazing. He can get around the map really, really quickly. Hence his name. His placement is really good. Really important because if you don't place him far enough back, then troops will get just demolished by the turrets. But also, if you put them too close or too far away, rather, then they'll just go flying to another planet. So his placement's really good. He's really good at countering.
I think also the fact that he, you know, was willing to try out different gods to kind of adapt to the situation proved that, you know, it's more than just like a one-trick thing. Speedy Ape has a bit of like a deeper knowledge of just like all the different gods and what they excel at.
Yeah, no,
Him and
Expert
Expert would
dance.
Yeah.
Experts would both learn all of the gods together, and they would just demolish everybody. They know each god so perfectly, and they knew which god countered which god.
Yeah, do you think there really is like how much of a like countering gods thing is there actually? Do you think like there are a lot of gods which actually really do like hard counter other gods, or do you think it's a little more subtle?
I think every god has a counter god, but some have weaker counter gods than others. Like production has a counter. I forgot it because I haven't played in forever. I'm trying to think of one that does. I'm trying to remember one of the counter gods. But
I know for a while a lot of people thought that volatility was countered by stealth because of the explosion immunity. I don't know if that's as true these days, but it used to be the case that like because stealth's passive made it so that explosions were less effective, it meant that if you were playing against a god of volatility, their passive would be generally weaker, and so it could be a good strategy to go against a volatility player by using stealth. And similar mindsets again, as you mentioned.
Remember, I would use Conquest against Stealth because whenever they used that ability, I could use my ability on them and get rid of a bunch of their support ships. That would help out counteract with the buff. I remember that.
Oh yeah, because of the EMP, you can disable their invisibility.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah, so
important
lots
things
of
to know.
play.
Well, if you had to, you know, I know you haven't played as much recently, but if you had to give some advice to a new player looking to improve, what would you tell them?
You have to be able to be good at wormhole chaining. Whenever you have a bunch of wormholes and you're able to go around the map quickly, you got to be really good at that. You got to be good at micromanaging, being able to counter well. Whenever you see somebody putting wormholes up there, you got to get a handful behind the wormhole. The number one thing is placement for me.
Yeah, where would you recommend like players like practice these things, like just going into multiplayer and just like, you know, messing around, and or is there
I remember the best way I would get practice is I would go into multiplayer matches, and I would it got to a point where everybody would start ganging up on me, and I had to that's why I would always go undercover as my name. But going against everybody at once would definitely help out with micromanaging and everything else under the sun, I guess. I mean, it just helps with everything, being able to micromanage well. Definitely going into multiplayer matches helps out a lot. Going into sandbox just to work on mechanics, getting quicker. Taking over the sun with just 2 ships, that's what I would do. To help with count or avoiding missiles, I would do that. But yeah, that's just the main things I would do.
Yeah, that's good insight, and it's fun to hear you know, insight like that from our players. As like, you know, it's funny because I don't know a lot of these or like yeah, it's just new cool stuff for me to hear about.
I would just go into sandbox and I would just get one rocket and a shield, and I would just try to take over the sun as quick as possible with just those 2 ships without losing them. And that helped out a lot with dodging missiles.
Yeah,
The main
yeah.
for early game.
Nice. Well, does anyone have anything else to add before we close out our tournament today?
No, just thanks for coming on, XL Beam, and thanks for everyone for watching. This was a lot of fun. Had some great comebacks. Really cool to see.
Yeah, and before we sign off, Steve, also, do you want to just real quick head back to the main menu and take a look at the founders wall? It's November now, and the founders deal is only going to last until the end of December. So there's not a whole lot of time left. We're really grateful again to all the players who have supported us over the past few months.
Should definitely go to the champions thing.
Oh yeah, you can also look at the past champions since we've been talking a bit about them. But yeah, again, we don't require that anyone have to purchase the founders pack, but we really appreciate everyone who does, and we're looking forward to seeing the future of that pillar as we near the end of its cycle.
Oh yeah, and we'll be
11, definitely the best tournament.
Yeah, and we'll be sure to add in Speedy Ape's tournament brick for tournament 16. And it's exciting monument to commemorate a lot of our top players. Yeah. Well, thank you, XL Beam, for joining us today.
For having me.
Yeah, and thanks for everyone for tuning into the stream. And we will see you guys next tournament.
Have a good one.